Hi everyone, here's an in-depth look at Bathurst in the Pro Mazda. It's a hosted session, but it's default weather. Default late afternoon. So coming up to the last corner, on the entry lap, it's just important not to make any mistakes. You don't really want to go bombing the corner too late. I'm braking just a slight amount after that pole. That pole's my braking marker there, so just going slightly deeper than it. Actually, mind you, on the lap to start the lap, I'm even braking before it. Just being cautious as you don't want to make an error. And if you miss this inside apex, or even worse, you clip it, you lose a lot of time. Got a good drive out and used all the track. Now coming up to here, you just want to be steady, keep the car kind of going into a straight line until just around the 50 meter marker, and then downshift into third and turn into the apex. So I'm on the brakes just slightly before it. There's sort of two ways to go about the corner. You can just go on smooth entry, brake a little bit too early and carry more apex momentum, or you can force the braking a little bit more. I prefer to just make sure I get the inside apex and not really be too concerned if you lose half a tenth here, because if you go too deep then you can lose a lot, and it's very easy to unsettle the car or miss the inside apex if you brake too late. Down the third, just get it in, get it close to that inside apex, and then just getting on the throttle and pushing the car out wide. It's fine if you get out in that outside curb. Now I'm wanting to brake around the 50 meter marker and then just turn in slightly after it. Again, this is another one of those braking markers. You can brake late and take a bit more from the braking zone, or you can brake before it and carry more momentum. I think here I'm braking pretty much on the 50 meter marker. You get down to fourth, and I'm taking a little bit of later apex. You want to kind of hug the inside of the corner on entry, and then let that guide you through the corner, and then run a bit wider on exit. Like so. You don't want this car to get too much out in that outside curb, as it tends to catch the bottom of it and then spears you off into the wall. Now in here you're entering from fairly wide. I'm not lifting at all on entry, so I'm just holding it flat on entry there. And you want to push the car towards the outside of the track, and despite this corner looking fairly tight, it's more about carrying the momentum, so the car goes out wide and you're just kind of flowing the car into the inside apex and then transitioning quickly back on the throttle. You want to get as close to that wall as you can get away with, pretty much. I've actually seen what it looks like from the outside of the car. Yeah, so I'm leaving maybe not much on that inside wall. So flat in, let the car run out wide. Not too worried about the inside apex, it's more just about carrying momentum. Then on the brakes, but keep the movement going and then just throw it in while carrying a lot of speed. When you execute it right, you want to keep the car fairly in tight to this inside apex and don't make it push wide, and it will sort of feel like you're carrying quite a little bit of speed through that. Now I don't like getting the car too close to this inside curb. It takes track off, but there's a big bump, so you'll always see me kind of go to this apex. I know a lot of people don't do it, but I just don't want to get the car over the bump. I find it unsettles it and costs some momentum. Just turning in here, don't lift, just turning in close to the wall. This is all fairly self-explanatory through this section. It's flat in this car with a good setup. You're getting into the inside apex, letting the car run out wide just to minimise the angle, but not too wide. You don't want to risk it too much. Then just turning it in smoothly. You're not clipping any of the inside curbs or the outside curbs. You're just using the black tarmac and holding it flat. Again here, enter from wide, maybe get a tiny bit on that outside curb and bring it into this inside apex here. Still flat. Haven't lifted through all that section. You don't want to get too much on that inside curbing. Unsettles the car just smoothly in. Okay, now this is probably, I think, one of the really vital sections of the track. You really want to make sure you get this right. So you can really go late into the braking zone in here, but I prefer not to. I prefer just to kind of brake a little bit earlier. It's all about keeping the car flat and steady. When you're running pretty low wing on the rear, which you do around here, it's very easy to upset it down here. So just on the brake, down one gear. Don't want to shift down too many gears at once, just keeping it steady. I'm just kind of holding it on the brakes down through this section. Front left goes up on this inside curb to give you a more straight line to the next apex. Not on either the brakes or the throttle through there. You have to hug it tight in here, sort of hold into this inside curb, as that gives you the optimal run through the next bit of corner. Bring it back. It's another one of those corners you've got to aim at the inside wall and the car will understeer midway through the corner and push it out wide. Oh no, I lost my lap. What did I click? Just a second, I'll get back to where I was. Yeah, down through this section, and you're getting back on the throttle very early after coming through there. You're still pointed at this wall, like the car's pointed directly at this wall ahead of you, and you're pretty well back at full throttle, but you've got to have trust it will turn, and you're basically just getting close to nipping that inside wall. You bring it back just, it's not too happy about it. Now on entry through here, you want to kind of keep it close to this inside wall to more straight line it. It's all about finding the straights through the corners through here. And then bring it back. Now, you can really bomb through this corner, but I prefer to keep the car steady, as when you get to Forest Elbow, the back is moving around. You're just going to lock a wheel and or run wide or not get into the apex. So I'm just holding it. I'm kind of braking in a diagonal with the car pointing at the apex to bring it into a more tighter apex. And as you're getting close, you got to slow down. You're down the second, because you're going down gears through this whole section pretty much. You want to turn it in. I'm sort of aiming at the wall, but I know that the car's not going to actually be on that line when it gets there because of the camber of the track. So the car will push out with understeer, and that kind of glides it really close to the inside wall. Then you get hard in the throttle to exit out and use all the outside track. I find if you do happen to clip that outside wall in the race, it's one of the more forgiving. If you just touch it, it doesn't seem to give you damage, but I wouldn't suggest it. And this whole section is probably the most important bit of the track, and it's one smooth motion. You make a small error, you're in the wall, you are too conservative, and you lose a stack of time. Now down Conrod, obviously just flat. Now through here you're wanting to brake after the 100-meter marker. So I'm braking it fairly deep. You just got to slowly build up to it, as it is quite an important braking marker. So I'm braking about the 80-meter point, down into fourth, and then throw it in. Got to get the car in around here. Don't want to clip the inside curb or else you'll lose a lot of time. Then hard back on the throttle and exit. If you get it just right, the car kind of will drift out and sort of sit up on this right curving, but it won't unsettle it too much. Let you push it back out. Bit too far back. Now this is the last corner. I'm braking after this first telegraph pole there. You want to be down in the third, don't go in the second. Okay, sorry, my bad. In this instance, I'm braking actually a little bit before it, before I get to it. I think I'm just being a little bit conservative there because I was on a good lap. And don't turn in too early. You don't want to clip this inside curb, or you're going to either run wide or be off into this wall. So turn in slowly, don't get it, then just harden the throttle or push it out to the outside of the track. And there's the lap done. That was a 2:00.5, which I thought was a pretty good lap time overall. Always a few tenths around a track of this length, but that was quite representative. Now we're just going full speed.